The information in this podcast is for educational purposes only. You should consult your doctor, specialist, or physical trainer for advice on your physical wellness goals before you plan to follow any of the suggestions or recommendations in this podcast.
Hello.
Hola.
Marhaba.
Welcome to the
Astro About Wellness podcast. Join me, Syazana Sani, and the Astro Duo,
Asfar Azman
And Azima Azman.
your host from
New York.
Let's strive to educate, regenerate, and elevate family institutions through optimal productivity and wellness education, one episode at a time.
Are you ready?
To listen to inspirational stories of trust, respect, acceptance, integrity,
Love.
and social responsibility for multicultural families and special need communities?
Sit back and relax and be inspired by the awesome people that we highlight in the first segment of the podcast.
Welcome back to the Astro About Wellness podcast. This episode is co-sponsored by Hardi Kamsani and my dad, Azman Ripin. Thank you and may God bless you.
Hello. May peace be upon you.
We are still in the first season of the podcast, and hey, you are listening to the 30th episode of the podcast with me, Syazana, and the Astro Duo, Asfar and Alima. We are back in our new mini studio in Ballston Lake, New York, and we've said goodbye to the cold winter weather and welcome the warmer spring. Did you know that we took a 5-week break in late January to February 2022 to go on a home trip to Singapore? We are so grateful to be reunited with our one and only boy turned firefighter, Asfar, who is also our podcast co-host. So, Azima, did you enjoy your trip back home?
Of course. It was a blast.
To all our listeners, did you travel overseas during COVID-19 when most borders are now open? If so, why not share your experiences traveling during the global health pandemic on a podcast?
To continue with our first year anniversary celebration, 2 entries from the U.S. will each receive a $20 Hannaford supermarket gift card, and another 2 winners from Singapore will receive a mystery gift worth $20.
So send your travel story with your name, mailing address, plus an audio file recorded via voice memo or voice note or text to our email hello@astrovelo.com. You could also send a DM or PM to our Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter accounts at Astrovelo by April 15, 2022. We had a fabulous time during our home trip to Singapore. So in this segment, we'd like to show some love and promote social responsibility by coming up with a summary of travel tips to keep in mind if you're planning to go to Singapore.
Okay, here we go.
Number 1.
Check out the latest updates
On COVID-19 regulations in Singapore regularly. What Azima and I went through at the immigration checks in January to February this year
might likely be different in the coming month.
Number 2. Book a vaccinated travel lane or VTL
Flight ticket with the world's class airlines such as Singapore Airlines,
Qatar Airways, ANA, or others as early as possible to get better fares, seats, and especially to avoid being quarantined upon arrival in Singapore. Number 3.
Get all travel-related paperwork done before your flight departure and ready in a handy file.
Download the Trace Together app and the Health Hub app as these apps will be useful when you want to visit places that require proof of your vaccination status and for contact tracing purposes. Number 4.
Get your PCR/ART swab test done according to the current requirement at least within 24 hours before departure and upon arrival in Singapore.
Number 5. Check for weather forecast and prepare for possible flight cancellation during inclement weather such as snowstorms and others. Number 6.
Pack your luggages several days before your flight departure and not at the last minute. Make sure that you weigh all luggages for the check-in and hand carry
so that it does not exceed the weight limit. For hand carry luggages, do not bring any liquid or prepare a checklist so that you do not miss any items that you want to bring along, such as your passport, your green card, or visa, vaccination certificates, your wallet, night pillows, pants, a set of clothing for change, medications or vitamins, etc. Number 7. Check into your flight online wherever possible and at the counter at least 3 hours before your flight departure. Number 8. Put on your mask at the airports and on the plane except during meal times. Number 9. Upon arrival at Changi Airport, check for relevant information regarding any PCR or ART test requirement. In January 2022, travelers were required to pre-book a PCR test to be taken upon arrival at Changi Airport before the flight departure to Singapore. And number 10. If you plan to visit Singapore and stay for more than 30 days, you might want to get your vaccination records ingested into the National Immunization Registry. So you'll have to go for a serology test at a clinic that can assist you with this.
Many requirements have changed or have been lifted recently, so check back at the latest requirements with the Immigration and Checking Points Authority
(ICA) on their website at www.ica.gov.sg. Now let's move on to your travel stories. What did you like most about your home trip, Azima?
The best part of the trip was to spend quality time with my one and only brother, Asfa, my grandpa, my uncles and aunts, as well as other relatives and close friends.
Yeah, we've not been back in Singapore since the first quarter of 2020, and 2 years is a long time. So we had lots to catch up with our loved ones.
Let's listen to a few audio recordings that we managed to do while we were in Singapore.
Yup, in this episode, you'll hear about the various modes of transport that we took to reach Singapore, especially the public transportation such as plane rides, subway or MRT train rides, and bus rides. You'll also find out about our dining adventures in this episode. In the next few episodes, you'll hear about places of attractions in Singapore that are fun and exciting. From Bukit Timah Nature Reserve for hiking, to Gardens by the Bay in Marina, East Coast Park, Changi Village,
plus bowling and lesson in a traditional archery
with the Singapore Traditional Archers, which was inspired by the excellent archery club inherited from the Ottoman Empire in Turkey.
Woohoo! Enjoy!
Iman, finally we're ready for the takeoff. How are you feeling? Ready for landing.
Ladies and gentlemen, please fasten your seatbelts and draw up your window shades. Thank you. Welcome to Singapore, ladies and gentlemen. And to all Singaporeans and residents of Singapore, a warm welcome home.
Now we're taking the ride.
Next station, Bukit Batok. Double-decker bus.
Huh?
It's on a double-decker.
Yes. So now we're going to Bukit Gombak.
No, go to Bukit Batok interchange first.
Yeah, we're going to Bukit Batok interchange first. We're at McDonald's. So later at 7:45 we go back to the mall and watch movie. And we popcorn and drink.
What are you drinking right now?
Ice mocha.
Hello Azima. Can you introduce us and tell us where are you and what are you going to be doing next?
Japanese food.
What are you going to order? Okay, so Azima, Cikgu suggested takoyaki and teriyaki chicken bento, okay? Okay, let's will record again to see how the food is. Bye.
In a Japanese restaurant with my mom's friend, I see the enemy chicken.
What's the name of the restaurant?
Hello, hi.
Azima chose a set, so this is the looks like a fried chicken. Yeah, it's called karage. And it comes with a watermelon for a balanced meal. Enjoy! This one, sit on top of your cup. Very good. You now pull slowly and go. Yeah, very good. On the target, it's not on the grass. Good. Yay.
We're in Korean restaurant with my mom's sister and my grandpa and myself and my mom.
Okay. Do you recommend your friends to come?
Yes, recommend you guys to come to Singapore.
Okay, enjoy.
Before we end segment 1, we'd like to invite you again to support the Astro About Wellness podcast by shopping at our new online shop. Check out Astro Velo Shop, apparel for women and kids in America at https://astrovelo.shop.social. Free shipping for delivery in the U.S.A. for any orders above $59.
Stay tuned to the next episode.
And listen to stories of trust, respect, acceptance, integrity, love, and social responsibility.
Coming up next,
In the second segment of the podcast, we'll learn about productivity and the 9 dimensions of wellness: physical, emotional, environmental, spiritual, social, intellectual, mental, occupational, and financial wellness.
So we can survive and thrive in this unpredictable world.
welcome to segment 2 of the show. Today is the last and final episode on occupational wellness with Hidayah Amin.
Welcome back to the Astro About Wellness podcast.
Thank you.
In the last episode, Hidayah had shared the stories behind her children's books. Azima, we mentioned that you should talk about the books you've read and share any learning points with our listeners, right?
Yeah, sure.
While we were in Singapore, we managed to visit Wardah Books, a bookstore located in the historic Kampung Glam that sells many books written by Hidayah Amin. So, we bought several books, including the book on Malay Kueh and the children's book inspired by Singapore's legendary tales, The Malay Annals. In the future, we plan to have a new series on heritage, traditional cakes, cookies and desserts, as well as a read and review series for children. But that's for our future episodes, and we will restructure our podcast episodes into shorter durations and series format. But now, let's hear from Hidayah Amin on what advice she has for teens and parents in helping teens pursue their dream careers or jobs. Take it away, Hidayah.
For those who are keen to learn writing or to want to become an author, entrepreneur, or to even want to be in the publishing industry, what advice would I give? First, you need to be very clear why you are doing this. I can only advise you based on my experience, because I was rejected and I was determined to have my story out there because I know how important my book is. I mean, the Gedung Kuning book. Even now, after what I've gone through, if I had to go through it again, I will go through it again because I see the importance, right? So you need to be very clear about your intention. Why are you doing this? Do you want to do this because you think you will be the next J.K. Rowling? Do you think you will make lots of money? So if you're going in for the money, you will be disappointed. Even J.K. Rowling was poor for many, many years, struggling when she was writing. You know, you will face rejection and all that. But I think the first thing you need to ask yourself honestly, why do you want to be a writer? Or if you want to be like me, set up my own publishing company, then you see there's also the business aspect that you need to think about. It's not easy. You need to ask yourself really, really honestly and sincerely why you want to do this. If you want to do this for money, I will tell you to forget it. If you want to do it for fame, nobody is going to care. Nobody will know you. There will be lots of wannabe writers. You need to know what set yourself apart from them. So because I have to take care of my father at home, right? It gives me the most flexibility to be my own boss. I can arrange my time so that I can take my father for his medical appointment and all that. That was why I'm also doing this partly. My great-grandfather was very successful. So I actually asked my grandmother, what are the secret to his success? So I'm sharing this with you and I'm trying to emulate. He said, you try not to be in debt. Don't have debts. If you cannot afford it, you don't do it. You wait. He paid for Gedung Kuning in 1912 cash, 37,000. That's a few millions in today's world. Because, you know, during that time, 1912, there's no bank loan. So he says, try not to be in debt. Because if you don't have debts, at least you can live. If you have debts and you don't have a job, how are you going to pay for all this? If I don't have enough resources, I don't do it first. It's okay. We are not in a rush. Why are you in a rush? You have to ask yourself that. Okay? Don't be in debt. You need to be ethical in your dealings. My great-grandfather paid his staff well. In fact, when I did the interview for my book, right, when they knew who my great-grandfather was, they were like so respectful because my great-grandfather treated their family or those who work with them well. So you need to be ethical. You need to pay your staff well. You need to treat people well. Be ethical in your dealings. To me, the most important values, the 6 values of trails is integrity. You need to have integrity. You know, my great-grandfather, if you read the Gedung Kuning book, there are people who stole his design and made their own belt. During that time, there's no trademark logo, patent or whatever. So how did he deal with these people? So things like this, you must have that integrity again. The other thing my grandmother said, my great-grandfather told her, if you want to start your business, you have to tell yourself that you're willing to be poor for the next 5 years. If you think you are ready, if you think you can handle being poor for the first 5 years of your business life, then you go for it. If you think you cannot hack it, then forget it. So when I really rehash or rebuild Halang Books, I told myself, look, I don't think I'm going to make money. I asked myself, am I prepared to be poor for the next 5 years? Am I willing? And the answer is yes. So during that 5 years, when I did all my books, you know, I told myself, it's okay if the book don't sell, but we must ensure there's a certain standard. We must do the branding well because these things are important. It has a message. As parents, you may not agree to your children's decision, but you know, if your children manage to convince you that they're doing the right thing, I think you should give them the emotional support. Even if they fail, please do not say, I told you so. Just your emotional support and being there for them means so much. Like my family, they will come, they will all come, they will sit there and they will support. They even buy my books. I said, no need to buy, I will give you. No, we want to support. So I think it means a lot. Don't compete with anybody. Please. My advice to you is don't compete with other people. You compete with yourself. That's all. And this is not a 100-meter dash. This is a marathon. Life is a journey. When we are born, we don't automatically run. You crawl first and then you run. It's okay. Take your time. I tell my students, you can do whatever you like as long as it's not, number 1, illegal, number 2, immoral, number 3, against any religious belief, against your principle. You just do it. So these 3, go for it.
That is awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your stories and your useful advice from Occupational Wellness, Hidayah. So, stay tuned to the next episode.
We've now come to the end of the show today.
If you have enjoyed our show,
Like us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter
at Astrowello, ASKTRIOWELLO.
send us your feedback.
To Syazana@astrowello.com. Visit our website at astrowello.com and subscribe to
Astro About Wellness Podcast.
Woohoo!